Here's my Firelight MS-4 conventional Firelight control panel. In this video, we'll be going through the programming to switches here. So you have 3 sets here, set 1, set 2, set 3, with 8 switches each. Let's get started. So going to set 1, zoom in here. Switch 1 here is for silence and inhibit. What that does is that this feature prevents the silencing or resetting of the NACs for a period of 1 minute. So what that means is that you cannot, when this is on, that means you have to wait a minute till you can silence the panel. So yeah, so that means you can't silence the panel until a minute's passed. Switch 2 here is for auto silence. What that means is that after about 20 minutes of if the panel is an alarm, and if it's not silenced within 20 minutes and this is on, the panel will silence itself. Switch 3 is for the temporal coding, so that's for setting the panel to code 3. Switch 4 here is for selective silence. Now this only works if you have sync enabled, but what that basically is for 2-wire audible silence. Switch 5 here is your trouble reminder, and what that means is that within 24 hours, and if the panel has a trouble and it's acknowledged and this is on, within 24 hours the panel will start going back into trouble, let you know, hey, I'm in trouble. Switch 6 here is for AC trouble delay. What that does is that if there's a power outage or an AC loss, that means the panel will not go into AC trouble within 2 hours. So if that 2 hours goes on, if that 2 hours is up, then you'll get the power trouble, AC trouble. Switch 7 is for auto resettable supervisory. Now when you have a supervisory zone enabled and you reset that zone, the panel will reset itself. And switch 8 here is for your IDC initiating device circuit combination water flow supervisory circuits. That's for supervisory zones and stuff. So now for set 2 is mostly just your initiating device circuit programming, so they're all the same for each. So switch 1, for example, switch 1 and 2 are for zone 1, 3 and 4 are for zone 2, 5 and 6 for zone 3, and 7 and 8 are for zone 4. So switch 1 here would set zone 1 to verification. Now if you have like a smoke detector in that zone, what that will do is that when you have this on, and once again you have a smoke detector, and the smoke detector goes into alarm, the panel will shut that detector off and wait for the detector to alarm itself again. So it will wait for about 83 seconds, between 30 to 80 seconds. And then if the detector goes off again in that period, then the panel will go into alarm. Switch 2 would set zone 1 to supervisory. So what that does is that when you just have that on, that means if I pulled zone 1, instead of going to a fire alarm, it'll go to supervisory instead. That all these apply for all the rest of them are the same except for just each individual zone. Now finally for set 3 here, switches 1, 2, 3, 4 are for NAC 1 and 2, 1 and 2 for NAC 1, 3 and 4 for NAC 2. Switch 1 will make NAC 1 non-silenceable, so if I have like a strobe hooked up to that and I've had that on, that means that the strobe will keep going until the panel's reset. And for switch 2, that'll just disable it. So if I had to do maintenance work on a NAC, I had to switch that on to disable that NAC, so I can, maybe swap it out or something. The same applies for 3 and 4, except that's for NAC 2. Now for the other things, switches here, switches 5 and 6. Yes, switches 5 and 6 here are for your synchronization. If you have 5 flipped, it's system sensor sync. If you have 6 If you have 6 flipped, it's Gentex sync. If you have both of them flipped, it's Wheelock sync. So 5 is system sensor, 6 is Gentex, and both of them is Wheelock. Now switches, now finally switch 7 here is for your non-silencable water flow circuits. That's once again for if you have a supervisory zone enabled. And switch 8 here is just a spare. So that's the programming to switches. So I read all this stuff off the manual here. Well, that's actually the manual for my SK4, but it still applies the same. So that's the programming to switches for the MS-4 series panels. Hope you enjoyed.